Well, lots of talk about feminism this past couple weeks, and I'm just getting caught up. We have this Amazing Atheist video. That was a wonderful way to start it off. With the, if you're not a feminist, you're a bigot. Lovely. But, it's a matter of, in regards to patriarchy, it's a matter of how much you buy into it, right? It's a matter of how much you believe, and which is illuminated by the good work by the MRAs and the Agent Orange files, you see. It wasn't the FBI. It wasn't the Southern Poverty Law Center. No, it was individual MRAs who went out to get this information. And I watched a couple of responses from TA. I watched the Professoranton and Valerie video here, which, if you watch the entire thing and listen to the language, there's a severe lack of any kind of biological realities to patriarchy, right? How is it that men are in this position and women are in that position? Now, if you listen to of course, to the radical feminists, it's obviously that just men want to control, right? You have to buy a couple of things. Well, you mainly have to buy absolute free will. You have to buy into that. It's contingent upon that. Well, you listen to these two, it's obviously they come from a pure social construction, right? Pure social construction. No natural realities that this is how that we may be. You listen to these radical feminists, it's just absolutely no culpability, right, for women at all. It's just all men. No discussion of, right, there's no realities of governance, right, the state, or no economic realities or anything of this nature that can actually play into the realities of why there is a patriarchal society, right? No regards to the nature of us against them, right? No, it's just all men. It's just men because of they're men, and they want to control women. Of course, the theory breaks down on many levels. So we get this Ziana Jones. This is the next one I wanted to talk about a bit. Ziana Jones, Heather video that caused so much stir. But one of the things that Heather said in that video just astounded me, shocked me. Let's just say, now I got it here somewhere. Oh, there it goes. Quote, only recently has Western culture stopped actually killing women for adultery, for having extramarital sex, right? Can anybody name me the last Western woman who was put to death for adultery? I couldn't think of one. And oh my God, going back to the other causes for patriarchal society, let's not forget religion, folks. But of course, so much of that discussion is in the radical mindset of patriarchal theory is secondary. No, it's men, you see. It's not our natural willingness to believe in the supernatural things of this and building religions off of that. No. It's just men with their absolute free will wanting to control women, and the religion is just used for that, you see. For me, it's looking at also a response to The Amazing Atheist by Conference Report. Yeah, here's that video. See what I said here. You see, he also seems to come just much like Professoranton and Valerie from a purely free will, absolute free will, social construction ideal, where right? There's nothing about us innate to us as human beings that would bring this sort of way of life to reality. No, it's just that we could just simply change it if we just change our attitudes and this and that. Right. So I ask, which brings us down to the whole nature versus nurture thing. But I don't get an answer on that. Maybe one day, I don't know. It's not that all feminism is not the same. And it's not that, of course, the nature is definitely talked about and theorized, and you can go on to read about that. But going back to the Agent Orange stuff, we could see that in feminist theory regarding patriarchy that that the reality is it's all men. Oh yeah, you could see I wanted to talk about that other comment they left too, where Heather says, for too long, over too many thousands of years, women's sexuality has been institutionally controlled. But the thing is, though, if you look throughout the written history, you could see that all of our sexualities have been controlled in some form or another. Yeah, women have, depending on which culture you speak of and, and to what degree, you see, but that's not important. What's important here is that it's women's sexuality, right? No thought of the state or religion and why that is and why or how those things come about. No, it just has to do with men controlling women's sexuality. It's a limited mindset that lends to this radical type thinking. This in regards to patriarchy, it's a simplistic view because it limits it to, women's sexuality, which is just not the case. That's another reason why such theory breaks down. But again, for these, not you guys, where was I? Yeah, for the Agent Orange people, the Radfem people, it doesn't matter. Oh God, and so much else to speak of. The fact that women are the ones having the children and expect to be protected, right? Expect to be protected, and how much of that drives the nature of man to be the protector. Although those generals we must challenge. Oh, if only. Now, some may hear me talk about all this feminist theory and think, oh, well, what's your problem with feminism, this and that? It's not like that. Oh, I am for women doing whatever the fuck they want to do and being empowered. They should be able to get any job they want to get or go to any school they want to, as long as they have their ability to do so. And yeah, obviously there's areas where women can't go into, the majority of women can't go into, obviously, but certainly they shouldn't be disenfranchised, right? They should be able to go into a bank and get loans and own property and all these sorts of things. Any laws, of course. I always wonder what my attitude would be living in a time like that, where a woman couldn't own property merely because she's a woman. But then again, you have to question, going back, you go back and look at the law code of Hammurabi, but we don't have them to talk to anymore, so we can only glean so much information from that. But you could see all the laws regarding it, and it wasn't just women. It was in regards to all kinds of property and how it should be dealt with. But I mean, I'm a live and let live kind of person. Let women do whatever the fuck they want to do. Let men do whatever the fuck they want to do. That's simple, really. I'm not going to go into it all here. I'm just babbling today. But I asked for the MRA equivalent. Where is it? Somewhere down here. Yeah, asked for the MRA equivalent and get some interesting answers. The TLF, or the true, what is that called? this movement. I think I ran a couple of them fellas. I don't know. I'd have to actually look into it more and see. And I knew I'd get something like this too. But in regards to this comment by the inner badger, well, yeah, you also got to look at the religious component to that. That's where a lot of that comes from. Right? If we're just gonna excuse ourselves from that, well, we have a problem. We're just playing right into the bullshit of just men and women, men versus women, right? That it's just not like that. Now, in regards to, calling him crazy and hates speech and all this and that. Look, I'm a pretty, I like the fact that people should be able to talk in whatever manner they can, be able to, depending on how far you want to take that, but depending on what was said and what's being done, any actual organization, talking about these women as crazy, like I said, I think it lends to an environment where people can be easily dismissive of them. Be like, well, they're just crazy, so who cares? But then again, you look at something like what the FBI does and the Southern Poverty Law Center and shit like that, and they take everything seriously. It doesn't matter how crazy you may think it sounds or what it is, or if it just involves one person. Right? They investigate that shit. They don't fuck around. That's the same sort of vigor I'd like to see in regards to stuff like this. But at the same time, we're talking about free speech, though, too. And it's good. We get to see the little inner workings of the minds. But what's also important here to understand, if you go look at the careers of these women, right? And one of them I brought up was. One of them was selected as a national ambassador for the 2010 Year of Women in Local Government. Right? I don't know how much I can say. Right? The files, I'll leave a link to the files, and you can see for yourself what I'm talking about there. A group is only as fringe as society's willingness to accept their ideas. Right? Now, I've said before in the past, I'll say it again. Of course, they're not building camps to put men in and shit like that. But it's a long game. It's the long game that you got to think about. And what happens from here to there and all the things in between. It's like I said about Sweden, the Swedish model, right? You don't get something like the Swedish model without this type of mindset. You don't get prostitution where it's illegal to buy and legal to sell without this type of mindset. Why is it in Australia that you have what was it? This is elsewhere as well. The male to female ADH ratio is 2.45 to 1, but the Ritalin rates are 5 to 1. Why are males being drugged at twice the rate as their actual ADHD ratio? Well, some may say the state and all the school stuff that Stefan Molyneux talks about, and I'm sure that's in play as well. But what kind of environment lends to that? Oh, it sounds conspiratorial, I know. But then again, these women are lawyers, people who work in government, people who work in all these different areas, work in childcare. But I see I'm running out of time, so peace out, my brothers, sisters, everyone in between.